Thank you, President Patton. Class of 2021, I'm honored to have the opportunity to serve as your commencement speaker and to deliver this speech that I wrote with my friend Lucas Kauth. When Luke and I sat down to write this speech, we decided to begin with a memory of Luke's first visit to Middlebury in March of 2016. As he tells it, he doesn't remember every detail of the campus tour, which conveniently avoided Battelle in all its glory. Of all things, he remembered the information session afterward because it brought his mom to tears. After touting student-to-faculty ratios and the value of a liberal arts education, the student leading the session shared a quote which he attributed to Maya Angelou. At the end of the day, people won't remember what you said or did. They will remember how you made them feel. Luke turned and saw his mom was crying. I guess she really didn't want him to go here. I fully acknowledge the sentimentality and cliche, but I believe that this quote rings true for all of us at Middlebury. We won't remember every picnic at the Knoll, every night in By Hall, or every conversation we had as we walked between our classes. Hell, I hardly remember anything from my final 2 days ago. But I will remember how Middlebury made me feel, and how you all made me feel. Unlike the rest of you, I'm not from Boston. I grew up in a small town out west, but even though I'm not from a city, the first time I smelled that fertile fragrance of manure wafting across the campus, I wondered what I had gotten myself into. Fortunately, that is just one of the smells of Middlebury. It is accompanied by the smell of the afternoon coffee, which gets you through your midterms, the smell of the dining hall that somehow lingers on your coat, and the smell of the freshly cut grass on Battelle Beach. This year, there are new smells, hand sanitizers and disinfectants. And there are some that we lost, many of which we never knew we'd miss, like the wood smoke from the hearth at Flatbread, or the sweat of countless bodies crammed into an Atwater suite. Although I can't say I'll necessarily miss the manure, it will always remind me of our home. We remember these sensations. Our professors tell us we should leave this school with the ability to think critically, to express ourselves in writing, and to engage with opinions different from our own. And they're probably right. But ultimately, it is these sensations which will draw us back. We all know the flavors of the dining hall, the craving for grill fries in the early hours of the morning. We've experienced the flavors of Vermont, too, like a crisp apple straight off the tree at Happy Valley Orchard. As students, we've tasted the disappointment of an all-nighter that didn't pay off. As Panthers, we've tasted the sweetness of a NESCAC championship. We were there to celebrate together in good times and support each other when things were tough. Today, I hope we all feel Vermont tastes like a maple creamy. What does Middlebury feel like? More than most colleges, Middlebury feels cold. No matter how many winters we endure, we'll never get used to that first sub-zero morning in J-term. But with the winter comes skiing and the exhilarating rush of the wind whipping past your face at the snow bowl. In the fall, it's the disconcerting crunch of a worm beneath your feet on the first rainy day. In the spring, it's the surprising warmth of sunbathing at Lake Dunmore on a 50-degree afternoon. Middlebury feels like the grip of your community friend pulling you across the floor of Proctor Dining Hall. It's the feeling of belonging to something that extends beyond the borders of our campus. We all know the sounds of Middlebury. How could we forget the musical genius of Old Town Road, Mo Bamba, or Mr. Brightside? From Sicko Mode to the Yodel Kid remix, these are the classics of our 8 semesters. I know the next time we hear Like a Prayer, there won't be a dry eye or a shirt left on in the room. Saturdays can't help but feel a bit too quiet this year. Who knew we would even miss the a cappella concerts? There's still the incessant squawking of crows that descend on campus each night, and those Mead Chapel bells which have drowned out so many of our lunchtime conversations. Over the years, we heard the sounds of protests as our classmates called for racial justice and marched for divestment. We'll all walk away with our own music of Middlebury, and it will form the soundtrack of our memories. The beauty of Vermont and our pastoral campus will perhaps be the hardest to leave behind. I swear Middlebury is home to the best sunsets in the world. And though I can't claim to have woken up for many of them, the sunrises are pretty damn good too. Despite the harsh winters and the 50-minute drive to the nearest city, I don't think I realized how lucky we were to have called these green mountains home. On a foggy morning, the clouds veil the base of these hills as if the trees themselves were exhaling. In the fall, they erupt in a blaze of autumnal glory, only to be smothered by the first blanket of snow. None of us will ever forget the first time we saw the Frisbee team streaking across Davis Library. And of course, the sight of our classmates, the faces that have accompanied us throughout these 4 years. As we were whisked away from the pandemic, cutting our semesters short, I didn't realize it would also be the last time I would see some of those faces. But I was struck by the acts of kindness that I witnessed last March as we said goodbye. Although our extra week of spring break transformed into a year and a half of social distancing, our class has exhibited resilience and compassion. We all made sacrifices, or lost something, or someone. Yet, in the face of this loss, we persevered. What we have accomplished this year, and what we are celebrating now, is not just our academic achievement, but the strength of our community. The fact that we can look into this audience and see our parents, friends, and loved ones is a testament to our accomplishment in keeping our community safe. The pandemic has shown us that life is unpredictable. The only thing we can be totally certain of is this present moment. Yet, we are so often focused on our future, never more so than at graduation. As the admissions fellow in that fateful information session was so eager to stress, Middlebury is rigorous. It instills in us a desire to strive toward greatness, and that drive is something I admire in my classmates. But our 4 years here can feel like a competition to see who is the busiest, the most stressed. We constantly pursue the next internship or job. We wish away exams and papers, and we anticipate the weekend. Even graduation can feel like an objective, a goal we have been working tirelessly toward for years. In this moment, however, no matter what your plans are once we leave this place, I hope we can remember the virtue of standing still. Luke and I share a favorite novel, Lonesome Dove, by Larry McMurtry, who sadly passed away earlier this spring. In it, McMurtry writes, "Yesterday's gone down the river, and you can't get it back. As much as I wish it were possible, we cannot relive our time at Middlebury. But we can take a moment now to reflect before we rush on to the next stage of our lives. Thank a professor, hug a friend, and think of those who are not graduating alongside us. Recall the coaches, the staff members, and the classmates who have defined Middlebury for you. You all, class of 2021, have defined Middlebury for me. I don't ask that you remember everything, and I don't even imagine that you'll remember this speech, but I know that we will remember how we made each other feel. Savor the bittersweet taste of graduation. Whether sorrow, relief, anxiety, or unbridled joy, revel in these feelings and take them with you. More than the diploma, more than Gamaliel Painter's cane, and more than a lifetime of explaining where Middlebury is, these feelings are Middlebury, and I will cherish them forever. Thank you.